Fashion World Enterprise. You're dealing all kind of home appliances. Open exterior light, interior light. BBBFA glasses will be also no bar. You will hold a mount. You check one ever. Asante Mampong, Ultra MT and Gakrebia, GIG Vocational College, and a deal.
Asante Mampong Gomat. Aha, na meni abusuani nyina ya beto ye noma. Asante Mampong fitemu, ne hwe ni mu pe. E na Gomat wo. Ebo ne suafo.
For all your medicines, contact Love Pharmacy opposite Asante Mampong Market. Love Pharmacy, where quality medicines are affordable.
Phone magazine yedwumadi a yedie ebi ni se ye repair phone ahoro nyina na afensi ton accessories unlocking flashing decoding o we phone magazine ayo Asante Mampong main lorry station above Sanpo Fryesi no store number 23.
Welcome to Bright Company Enterprise. Bright Company Enterprise is opposite the MTN office at Asante Mampong.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was admitted to the Chartered Institute of Directors, UK, on the 10th of September 2004. And I was also admitted into the Chartered Management Institute of the UK in March 2001. And I was admitted as an associate member of the Chartered Institute of Housing UK in July 1996. I have worked in the housing industry for a very, very long time. I started working as a property negotiator with a private company called John Grant, somewhere in 1988, thereabout. And then I followed up by working at the London Borough of Lambeth, in the Directorate of Housing and Property, as a senior administrative assistant from September 1990 to October 1991. And then I went to work at London Borough of Hackney, again the Director of Housing. Over there, I work in various positions. First, I started as an estate manager in October 1991 to June 1994. Then I was promoted to become a senior housing officer from June 1994 to June 1995. And then I became a service manager in the same London Borough of Hackney. No, I became a principal housing officer in 1995 to December 1997. And then I became a service manager from 1997.
Chairman, we are following the nominee's CV very, very closely. May I refer you to page 3 of your CV? Page 3 of your CV. For consistency, Parliamentary House Committee, January 2017 to January 2021. Have you completed that task? That's what you are reporting. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. I'm no longer a member of the House Committee.
Okay. Then Parliamentary Caucus on Population and Census, January 2017. As of January 4th and 5th, were you playing this role?
I am still a member of the committee.
Okay. Then member Parliamentary Committee on Trade, Industry and Tourism, March 2021 to present.
Yes.
Okay. You are a member of the State Housing Company. State Housing Company.
Yeah. The board.
The board.
Yes, I've been a member since 2019 to January 2021, when all boards were dissolved.
There are reports in the media of selling of government estates and properties belonging to the State Housing Company. As board member, have you participated in any meeting of the board to grant approval for such sales?
No, Mr. Chairman.
There's been no transfer of titles and leases granted for persons interested in some of those properties?
Mr. Chairman, I'm not aware.
Even at the board level?
Yes, sir.
So if there were a sale, it would have happened just at management level and the board will not be aware. Is that what you are suggesting? Thank you, Chair.
Under normal circumstances, Mr. Chair, if a sale of that nature would have happened, it would have been reported to the board or would have been briefed.
All right, thank you. That is observed. You go to the important portfolio of foreign affairs. There is no significant change in the pursuit of our foreign policy as I read, whether from President Jerry Rawlings through President Kufuor, through late President Mills, through John Atta Mills and John Mahama to Nana Addo Dankwa. But you would be assisting your minister. Have you had cause to read the UN resolution on the Palestinian question and the two-state matter? Have you had cause to look at it?
Mr. Chairman, I have not had cause to go into that matter.
You now probably, as a diplomat, will have to learn to speak at dictation pace. This is not about housing and selling of properties and housing. And are you adjusting yourself to the job of assisting Shirley Ayoko-Botchwey in the pursuit of Ghana's foreign policy?
Mr. Chairman, when I get the opportunity of being approved, definitely I am going to make sure that I avail myself of all the issues happening on the international front and to give the best that I can to support my minister in the discharge of her duties.
Chairman, apart from the Ghana Armed Forces, one of the noticeable institutions of state that I have admiration for is Ghana's foreign officials. I mean, those who've trained and sent abroad. Many of them, as I have traveled, I've had the rare privilege to be at the ILO as Minister for Labor, WTO as Minister for Trade, and the ITU as Minister for Communication. They do well. One of the nagging complaints I have got is about Ghanaian properties abroad and the rental of office accommodation for many of our missions abroad. You won't be minister. For instance, Geneva, how much they pay for rent. I don't know what has happened now to our Dubai office. They were also paying huge sums of money. And in London, Ghana does have a property acquired by President Nkrumah, which is in a very high level. I see the Londoner responding to it, the Honorable Katie Hammer, and yourself. You know the location, what I'm talking about. And yet, Highgate, yes, but they are at very auspicious locations with value, and we struggle as a country in servicing rent, when in fact, given your background, as I heard you, will you assist your minister to change the paradigm so that many of our embassies can be on their own? Thank you, Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, the paradigm has already been changed. And as we sit here, the ministry is in the process of renovating, rehabilitating, and purchasing new properties for our missions abroad. The London property you're talking about, whether it's in Highgate, that has been refurbished. Cromwell House in London has also been refurbished, currently undergoing refurbishment. And apart from these places, all over the world, quite a good number of our properties are undergoing rehabilitation, or we have even purchased outright chancelleries and residencies. With the $50 million that was secured during the NDC administration. I am briefed that currently the minister is even working on a second tranche of raising another funds to tackle the other properties which the 50 million will not be able to attend to.
Chairman, I think that we should give credit where it's due. The paradigm shift was led by the Honorable Hannah Tete, when I recall she brought a cabinet proposal of some financing from the SSB Bank to be able to deal with this phenomenon. I'm sure that is what the Honorable Ayoko-Botchwey has built on, and you are now contemplating a second tranche. But that leads me to the world of COVID. The SDGs, which is a successor to the Millennium Development Goals. Given the impact of COVID on the economies of many states, do you foresee the world, even Ghana, living up to our timelines in the pursuit of any of the SDGs that you may want to speak to? Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Chairman, regardless of COVID, I am still of the view that we'll be able to achieve some of the outcomes in the SDGs. Thank God that COVID appears to be waning and economies appears to be being revived. So I'm sure with this revival and the right policies and programs in place, Ghana will definitely achieve some of the targets, some of the expected targets and outcomes.
Chairman, thank you. And Chairman, just bringing the nominee, there isn't much on foreign policy and its pursuit since you won't be the minister. Acquisition of passports. Acquisition of passport. Yeah. It takes longer if somebody from Gulu in the Upper West region or from Mimima in the Wale Wale area want to acquire a passport. Must it take him a traveling distance to do so? What plans do you have to assist your minister to ensure easy and timely access to the acquisition of passports?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The ministry in the last 4 years has streamlined the acquisition of passports. They've opened the passport application centers, and there is one in Wa, there is one in the northern region. Apart from the old regions, the only region that hasn't got a passport application center is Balogatanga. But currently, the acquisition is ongoing. So the situation that you described, the person coming from the Upper West region will need to come to Accra. He will need to go to the WA Passport Application Center. After he has applied online, he goes to the WA Application Center, and then his biometric or her biometric details are taken, and then the processes continue. So there will be no need for the person having to travel to Accra. So at least with the new system in place, with the new passport application centers, it is now easier for acquisition of passports. And also there are premium centers. If somebody wants a quick service, that person can go to either Accra, Kumasi, or Tamale, where they will get a premium service, where the acquisition passport is expedited.
Yeah, again, Chairman, I appreciate that. But for the record, again, the idea to decentralize the passport acquisitions was leadership provided then by Mohamed Mumune as foreign minister when he got the first 2-3 of it. But still, the Ghanaians abroad struggle to have access to their own country visas. When a Ghanaian abroad wants to come to Ghana, some of them are given long periods. Sometimes they will purchase tickets. You know, they struggle to get the tickets, and they are not able to meet timelines because of the difficulty of our foreign mission working with them to acquire the visas on time. The same thing, Ghanaians abroad, when they want to be able to renew their passport, they are treated as if they are not citizens of our country. What will you do with your minister to improve the access to these passports and visa acquisition by Ghanaian nationals abroad? I thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have to say, I have to go on record that our officers in our foreign missions are doing a fantastic job. I mean, having to deal with Ghanaians in abroad is not that easy. But at least with the system that we have in place where you can apply for passport online, and then you are given appointments, you pick up the slots. And then when you get the slots, that is when you are arrange to come to the passport office or the mission itself to actually have your biometrics taken. So it has been streamlined that you don't have to come, and then you even make your payment online as well. Now with visas, it's the same. But then you have to physically come to the mission to submit your form or your passport in order to get your visa. But there are occasions where people want to travel at short notices, and they want to be giving some special services or express services. Now, it depends on the exigencies and the times, and it also depends on the availability of slots for the service to be provided. But by and large, I think our mission staff abroad are doing a fantastic job.
Chairman,
Chairman,
as I said, we know that he's only going to assist the Honorable Minister Shirley Ayokobuche, who will be the President's principal advisor on the pursuit of our foreign policy. But again, just ending on ECOWAS, you've seen what is happening in Ghana between Ghana and Nigeria. Nigerian traders driven away by Ghanaian traders. You wake up the next morning, you hear President Nana Addo Dankwa and Minister for Trade and Ayokobuche that improved trade between Ghana and Nigeria. Pretensions. There are Ghanaian goods which cannot enter Nigeria. Yet you say after. Again, I remember late President Mills in Ethiopia when he led the advocacy for what has now become a material fact of what can improve trade in the SAP region. Ghana, Nigeria. Take for instance, Dangote Cement is in Ghana. You probably may not be able to have a Ghanaian entrepreneur establish same in Nigeria. Now, intra-African trade, and this is just to advise you when you go there, pay particular interest to the volume of trade that can happen just within Africa. Look at the population of Africa and what we can do out of it. But there are restrictions. There are still limitations. The language barrier, and Chairman, I'm ending on a note so that we all learn. Part of our problem, probably Parliament should take interest in it, I'll raise it very strongly, is appointment of diplomats. We are shifting towards appointing more political appointees than the trained diplomats. In my view, that is wrong. You have trained foreign service officials, particularly to countries that have multilateral institutions and agencies. You necessarily will need somebody with the acumen and training of a foreign service official than just wanting to reward a politician to go and, pardon my word, learn how to drink wine. Tyre doesn't drink like me. I'm just saying it. So, Chairman, the nominee is going to assist. If he has something to say about improving Ghana-Nigeria trade relationship, I'll be happy to hear him. If he wants to go and learn on the job, Chairman, he can tell you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to go and learn on the job.
You mean your experience in India will not come in handy?
Oh, definitely, Mr. Chairman. My experience in India will be very useful. There are no two ways about that. But the Nigerian angle is a tricky one. It needs to be handled sensitively.
I note that India is determined to improve bilateral relations with Ghana. I happily joined the Indian ambassador somewhere when he was returning from Yendi last week in Tamale. And it was encouraging to hear him after inspecting the small water project in Yendi. I encourage him to pay particular interest in Diari and Savlugu on the Bolga Road, where they have acute water shortages. And Chairman, the Indian government, as I have my briefing, is determined through the Indian Exim Bank, apart from supporting railway development, they have pledged to support the agricultural sector and many other enterprises. So, Chairman, I wish the nominee well. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Patricia Page.
Okay. Thank you very much. Honorable Chair, congratulations, Honorable M.P. I have no doubt at all of your assistance to this ministry. And I must say that listening to you on the issue of acquiring passport at a record time, I'm wondering if the decentralization system would not promote the use of Goro boys and also will not promote corruption. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think the decentralization of the acquisition of passports is rather brought positive, some positives. When we look at previously what the situation was, when you had to do it manually, that is where it was easier for the Guru boys to come in. And also, secondly, when you have to make payments manually over the counter, again, it was encouraging the Guru boys. And then also, when it was not decentralized, every applicant had to come to Accra. Now, with the decentralization, you need a passport. Wherever you are, you go to your regional capital or the nearest park center. And then your payment is also done online or through Momo or electronically. So that there is the elimination of the possible misuse of people's money and the rest. And then also, in order to fast track the process, when you input, you select, or you are given a slot or a day that you actually go down to the park center for your biometrics to be taken. So with the decentralization, there's been a marked improvement in the turnaround time for the acquisition of passports. And I think generally people do commend the new decentralization system, and it's working.
Thank you very much. Honorable Chair, this particular one is actually not a question, but to commend the honorable nominee. I was in India some time back. I've been there on 2 occasions, and I must commend them, especially with the issue about our missions. If he says that the paradigm shift, there's going to be a paradigm shift, it's accurate, because during his time with Professor Quay in India, you will marvel at the kind of edifice that they purchased for the country. So I want to commend you highly for that initiative, and I wish you well. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Honorable Sosu, you haven't asked a question today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Honorable nominee, congratulations once more. This is just a quick follow-up on the issue of passport acquisition. In fact, I know as members of parliament, from time to time, you get this call for one assistance or the other. And I can assure you that just this morning, somebody called me from the concern saying that they needed passports, and someone has asked that if they can bring 1,000 Ghana cedis within 24 hours, they will get that passport. And I'm only saying this to suggest that the issue of Goro boys is not entirely removed, and it will require some progressive steps to address. So what other assurances can you give the committee beyond what is already ongoing for purpose of decentralizations to deal with the issue of Goro boys in passport acquisition?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have to say that in every human institution, there is bound to be some bad nuts. And the acquisition of passport would definitely would never be 100% foolproof. But I do take on board the issue that you've mentioned about still the activities of some Guru boys lurking in the background. I give you the full assurance that I will work in supporting my minister to make sure that we put in place a more robust system to try to contain the activities of the Guru boys.
Thank you very much. When the substantive minister, Honorable Sheliaite, was before this committee, she actually confessed that she has been moved several times by stories of young Ghanaian females who are locked in countries like Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, the United Arab, who went there ostensibly to look for daily bread. And it turns out that those who arranged for them to be there abandoned them, and most of them who even wish to return back to Ghana are having challenges returning. What would you do to support the minister to curb the situation and also provide the needed assistance for such sisters of ours who are locked up in some of these countries?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The scenario you presented is a very tricky one. Tricky in the sense that even though currently we have banned this kind of trade, people still find the opportunity or the chance to go to the neighboring countries to make sure that they continue with their business. And then we also have in the situations where people who have been there and who have suffered and have been assisted to come home have, after a couple of months, again find their way through their neighboring countries, and they have gone back. So it's become a very difficult thing. I know my minister is linking up with the Ministry for Gender and the Ministry of Interior and the Ministry of Employment to try and fashion out a system whereby we may have some employment agencies who will actually come out in the open and operate and register these Ghanaians who wants to go and work, especially in the Middle East. And then when they have them properly registered, I'm sure they will have their accredited agents also in the ministry who will also monitor how the people they export are actually being placed and how they are being taken care of and how they are being treated. I think the collaborative efforts that my minister is working on, I'm sure we will be able to contain the situation. But I can assure you that definitely we will not be able to eliminate it completely.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I would want to take your take on some of the happenings at the international domain. Recently, President Biden issued a directive that U.S. troops in Afghanistan would be withdrawn by September 11 this year to mark the 20th anniversary of 9/11. What do you consider to be the security implications in the sub-region, particularly with the desire to fight terrorism in the sub-region?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I just need a bit of clarity whether the questioner wants my personal view upon it. Under normal circumstances, working in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, you don't normally profile your own personal views. You have to talk of what the country's position is in some of these issues. So it's best you skip away from, because any small mistake that you make will have serious consequences internationally or the other countries.
Very well. Then what would you propose to be the solution for the recent impasse between Mali and ECOWAS and AU, particularly on account of the coup that recently took place? And what do you consider as a Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs to be ways in which Africa can overcome these issues?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The ECOWAS have certain principles that they expect member states and governments to follow. Part of the principles include good governance, rule of law, democratic principles and application. So if a member country falls foul to any of these key principles, of course, that member needs to be brought to book. So what happened in Mali, as we all witnessed, our president, who happens to be the chairman of the ECOWAS, as at now, summoned the meeting of all the heads of states, and the Palace school leader was also brought down. My understanding is that they spoke to him and spoke to him well in a language that he will understand. And further to that, Mali has been suspended from ECOWAS. And I understand it's even been extended to the AU. So these ones have been established. So it is very easy to follow through. So the position has been made clear to the coup leader in Mali. And I'm hopeful that maybe in the next couple of days, we might hear something positive from him.
As a quick follow-up, so don't you think that learning from this, as a country, we probably need to improve our own adherence to rule of law, constitutionality, and constitutionalism? And I'm saying this on account that in the African continent, we know that issues of rule of law have always been very serious matters as far as we are all concerned. And even right here in our country, there are several, you can see that there is constitutionality, but we don't have constitutionalism. In other words, the very institutions that are established by the Constitution are not willing to subject themselves to the dictates of the Constitution. For example, some institutions even feel they are above criticism. And so, as a country, and for someone going to play in this international space, I'm sure you would be willing to advise that whilst we take steps against countries like Mali, we ourselves would live by the dictate of the Constitution and rule of law.
Mr. Chairman, I share his viewpoint.
Yes, Honorable Zera.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon, Honorable nominee. Mr. Chairman, I will ask for permission to make an observation before I ask my question. It's refreshing to see the Honorable Minister for Foreign Affairs with you here, and I want to commend the Ministry for the efforts at decentralizing passport acquisition. I was at the Passport Accra Digital Center, I think about a month ago, to renew my passport, and the service was good. The staff were very courteous, very professionally trained, and I'll just urge you to keep it up. My question goes to the issue, everyday issue of Galamsey. We've suffered this menace, and we've trying hard to find ways to resolve it. Various initiatives have been attempted, but none seems to be giving us the desired results. We are aware that there are a lot of Chinese citizens involved in the Galamsey business. What do you think the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration has to do in terms of diplomatic approach towards this issue with our Chinese counterparts? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do acknowledge that when you mention Galamsey in Ghana, one particular country that comes to mind is China. Whilst recognizing the presence of the Chinese in the mining sectors, we must also recognize that it is not only the Chinese who are in there. There are other foreign nationals. The Burkinabes are there, the Ivorians are there, the Togolese are there. But the point still needs to be made that the Chinese are also in there. I know diplomatic efforts are underway, engagements have taken place between the minister and the Chinese ambassador to try to do something about the large number of Chinese in the system. On our part, I do recall that a couple of months ago, the Chinese ambassador came out to say that we shouldn't be shifting the blame only onto the Chinese, because the Chinese person coming to Ghana doesn't know where the gold is. The Chinese person did not just fly on his own wings and came to Ghana. At least there might have been somebody who is a Ghanaian who has supported or assisted, facilitated, and make it possible for the Chinese to come into the mining. So at least we also need to, whilst we are trying to tell the Chinese to fix the situation, we in Ghana also have to try and fix our own side of the bargain. So it's something that is recognized that it is quite troublesome. I know in the we have started looking at how the Chinese are able to come into the country in these large numbers, whether they are coming in with the right visas. So at least in our missions where the visas are issued, for example, in Guangzhou, in Hong Kong, in Peking, and also at the Kotoka Airport, visa on arrival, which is handled by the immigration section, we are collaborating. The ministry is talking to all these persons involved to try as much as possible that those who are in here, at least they are already in the system. If they get caught, we take them through the right processes and then deal with them. But those who will be coming in, we have to make sure that we put in place stringent measures. And also, they come in and then they are given the right to stay. So they continue doing their business, because under normal circumstances, we come in for 6 months visa or something of that sort. But then before you can see, they've been given resident permit and they are in the system. So part of the problem is also to do with us. And we need to fix ourselves. And we need to make sure that we've done our homework well. And if we do, it will be very difficult for the Chinese man to come into the country and come and do galamsey. So Ghanaians have a key role to play to be able to arrest and contain these galamsey menace, and especially where the Chinese are involved.
Yes, Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My second question has to do with press and the media. In April, I think the ministry had some bad press. One that was from South Africa about how the Ghanaian diplomats were endangering the lives of other diplomats in the diplomatic enclave by importing sex workers, leading to a spree of armed robbery cases. The second report that was carried by Ghana Web was about family and friends recruitment at the ministry that was creating a bit of discontent within the establishment. What would you do when you get there in concert with your substantive minister to make sure that the ministry's communication department is more robust than it is, in order to, these reports will come. Some of them, there's nothing you can do about. What do we do when they come so that we can protect the face and image of the foreign ministry? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have heard of some the incidences that you referred to, the South African one, and then also the other one to do with recruitment. My check on the recruitment one was that in the last year or so, there hasn't been any recruitment whatsoever at the ministry. There hasn't been. So it was a red herring that whoever put out there did. The other one in South Africa, I can't speak much to it because I don't have the full facts about that. But I know my minister it takes these cases very serious, and if I'm confirmed into the position, I'll give her all the necessary support to make sure that such incidences that are likely to affect the image of the ministry and Ghana are dealt with as appropriate.
Yes, Honorable Minister for Communication and Digitalization, otherwise not complete.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I must congratulate the nominee for the work he's done so far and for catching the eye of the President. And I am gratified that many of my colleagues here have acknowledged the strides that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has attained in terms of passport acquisition and the use of technology to facilitate that. Now, to make it easier for the traveling public as we move towards the post-COVID era, would you know if the ministry is considering the issuance of electronic visas for those wanting to come to Ghana?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am very much aware of the progress that has so far been made in the introduction of the e-visas at the various missions. And I believe that when it is finally rolled out, it will help a lot, because at least at one mission in Ghana, you can read what's going on. When a visa is issued in London, you can sit in Accra here and be able to access to know that John Bright has been given a visa to come to Ghana. That will help a lot.
Mr. Chairman, still on the issue of international travel, how do we ensure that those who've been vaccinated, we don't know if the world will be moving towards insisting on vaccine passports, but what steps are being put in place to ensure that those who've been vaccinated who would like to travel would have that health record properly acknowledged in the foreign airports that they may visit? Would you know what kind of arrangements are being put in place to facilitate the easing of travel restrictions? And now you have to take COVID tests 3 or 4 times, twice at least, before you return, depending on the length of time you stay outside. We're hoping that with those who've been vaccinated, it will be easy to record that and make the COVID test unnecessary. So would you know what steps are being put in place to acknowledge the vaccine record of people to facilitate foreign travel?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Unfortunately, I am not fully briefed on what is currently being thought of. But I believe that if it comes to that, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will play a key role. And I will provide 100% support to my minister in making sure that we have something that is robust and something that will help us to contain the pandemic.
I can only congratulate you and hope that Parliament will give you the nod so you can go and assist your able minister to discharge the onerous responsibility of facilitating our foreign relations. All the best.
Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Gaga. Yes, Honorable nominee, congratulations. I'd like to find out from you how that is if we chalk success in our bid to become a member of the UN Security Council. How will that impact global peace and security? I heard the minister, that is, if you're giving the nod, talk about it, and we're all upbeat about it. How important is that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ghana has always been at the forefront in maintaining peace and stability with our neighbors. We've even extended it within the ECOWAS region. We are also even fortunate to have our president as the chairman of ECOWAS. And it's principally because of his belief in the rule of law, democratic principles, peace and security. At a certain point, even Ghana had to withdraw its candidature at the AU because we thought the issue of peace and security was of more importance. And therefore, we gave up the AU position in order to be able to have the peace and security position in the African region, which means that the issue of Ghana pushing to get into the Security Council is again an extension of Ghana's belief that when we get there, we'll be able to add our voice at that high level for the agenda of maintaining peace and security in the world.
I take it that you are familiar with Article 40 of our Constitution, which sets the tone for our foreign policy objectives. But let me refer you quickly to Clause A of that article. And the Clause A talks about the promotion and protection of Ghana's interests. And so essentially, if you are given the nod, you are going to be expected of you to assist your minister to promote Ghana's interests. Now, I'd like to find out from you, what are the interests of Ghana that you'll be seeking to promote in the international arena?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first and foremost, the interest of Ghana is as defined in either the Constitution or by the government of the day. That is the route I have to go, and that is what I have to follow. So I believe definitely that peace and security are key issues for Ghana. We want to live in peace with our neighbors, so that once we are able to live in peace, we are able to secure our borders, and we are insulated from external aggression or attacks. Then we will have peace to be able to develop our country, Ghana. If we compare it to other countries where peace and security are key issues, development has been eroded. So peace and security is quite a key matter for Ghana in order for us to be able to develop as we want.
Yes, Honorable, my last question has to do with passports renewals as opposed to fresh applications. Now, I want to believe that when a fresh applicant puts in an application, the passport office is able to retain that person's data and information. Now, why is it that if you are a person who is already in possession of a passport and it has passed and you're seeking to renew, you have to go through the same process, the same information, the biodata is about the same as a fresh application? Why is it so? It makes the process so unnecessarily laborious. It's time consuming. As I said, my passport has expired. I want one. I've been given a date to appear on the 25th of June. The information I provided that office some time ago when I put in an application for a passport, they're asking me to furnish them with the same information. Honorable, if you're given the nod, how would you respond to these issues?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To be quite honest, I am not aware, or I don't know, that when you go for a renewal, you have to go through almost the same process as if you are acquiring a new passport. But as you've mentioned here, when I'm giving the nod, I will look into that and see how best I'll be able to advise my minister as the best way forward.
Yes, Honorable Zaini. All right, thank you very much, Chairman, for the opportunity. Honorable nominee, In an earlier question, my colleague made reference to Article 40 of the 1992 Constitution, which guides our foreign relations. Also of interest is 73, 74, and 75 as far as international relations are concerned. And I think one thing we say of people who serve in the capacity that you are being vetted to is their ability to carry themselves as worthy ambassadors and representatives of the country in all aspects of life. Mr. Chairman, the nominee is on record to have referred to himself as an adult with sharp teeth. This was in response to an issue relating to our colleague Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa when he raised concerns about Ghana's attempts to acquire a chancery in Norway. And the honorable nominee, in response to how that issue was raised by his colleague at the time on the Committee of Foreign Affairs, wasn't charitable at all in his choice of words against Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa. I just want to find out, based on this description of himself as an adult with sharp teeth, ready to sink the teeth in, if certain provocations were pushed. If he is one of those who do not appear, who are not as they appear, but have hidden true colors that they show, that can tend to perhaps embarrass this country if he is approved as the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I have had the opportunity of being representing Ghana outside as a Deputy High Commissioner. And I don't want to sing my own praises, but at least during the period that I was in that position, I excelled. When you come down to our local day-to-day politics, sometimes you say things in the heat of the moment, depending on what is actually on the table. I would like to beg Mr. Chairman that we don't dwell too much into this particular issue, because part of the matter is before court. And I will plead that we let sleeping dog fly. That was something that was said in the heat of the moment.
The Chairman, and that's my concern, the heat of the moment and what it can reveal, and how that, if the nominee doesn't have the ability to check the heat of the moment, what that portends for our diplomacy as a people. That, for me, is more worrisome than just moving on.
I'll control myself in future situations.
You have to know how to manage with young people. Agent provocateur, I call them. When I was a student, I was. Now I've grown up out of that. But it's important to learn to manage your temper. Are you done? Maybe my last one, Mr. Chairman. The nominee, in answer to my earlier question, talked about his past record as a Deputy High Commissioner to India, and described his period as an excellent one when he says he excelled. It is also worthy of note that after his service, an issue of the country importing some quantity of rice from India came up. The BNI at the time, as it was then known, went into this matter. The reports are that you were invited. Can you tell us what happened with that investigation, as you indicated at the time that the BNI had called you to inquire what your role was as far as that importation was concerned?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, it did happen. I was invited by the BNI to state what I know about the rice importation, and I did. Unfortunately, when the matter went to court, I was pressing very hard to be called to court to give evidence. But the state decided against calling me. So that is where the matter ended.
Why were you pressing to be a witness?
Because I felt the person who had been put in the dock was the wrong person, knowing very well that I was in India and I was very much involved in the rice business, that particular, the exportation of rice or importation of rice into Ghana. The key person who led the whole process, the court decided not to invite. But the person who had nothing to do
the
with
court, is it the prosecution,
the prosecution
or the
sorry.
defense? Neither of them invited you.
Mr. Chairman, the prosecution decided not to invite, but rather somebody who had nothing to do with it was the one who was put in the dock and being prosecuted. That is why I was pressing that the truth must come out. What actually happened needs to be told. But I was never invited.
Would you like to take this opportunity to tell us the truth?
Yes, Honorable Member, he says, do you like to take an opportunity? If you want to
I
speak
wouldn't
it's
want
up to you.
I wouldn't want to revisit that matter. The court has made a decision, and I will plead that we make the court's decision stay.
What was the decision of the court?
Honorable Oseje, who was the one who was being prosecuted, was acquitted and discharged for lack of evidence.
Very well. Hello, can I? Right. Leader, I thought you were exhausted.
Chairman, you know, normally we closely follow what our colleagues do. For instance, Minister for Communication is here, and the matter of e-passport was raised. We now have what we call the chip embedded e-passport, and they have to work with the Ministry of Communication. One of the best practice destinations is South Korea, and I think that we need to improve our passport architecture going forward. But the Honorable Sosu had raised this important matter of domestic workers recruited for purposes abroad by legal and illegal employment entities. And your ministry and the Ministry for Employment in particular, supported by Interior, will have to show interest in it. Now, if you take the Arab Gulf, for example, they are very much interested in recruiting house helps or a certain category of labor from Ghana. And I believe that our country can benefit from what I call export of labor. But it must be regulated in a manner that they are not sent abroad for purposes of abuse. You've seen Ghana now send nurses abroad. I know, for instance, Japan had indicated that they were willing to recruit Ghanaian nurses. We need to streamline it. What will you do to your minister to ensure that we are able to export labor in a manner which is regulated? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think in my earlier response, I did mention that some stakeholder consultation is currently ongoing between the key ministries involved in this domestic workers in the Gulf region especially. So it is work in progress, and I'm going to throw my weight 100% behind my minister to make sure that we fashion a system such that it becomes possible for the domestic workers to be exported to the Middle East, but their welfare, their interests, their salaries, all other matters are properly protected, so that somewhere along the line, the country can even benefit from it.
Chairman, my order is, as Deputy Foreign Minister, you have a duty to assist your minister. Ghanaian foreign officials abroad, I know the practice happened and it was curtailed. Many of them, when they are retiring back home, were allowed to come back home with some one vehicle of some capacity. I know it happened under, I should say that it happened, and along the line, there was policy shift because of this position on exemptions. But that is not the exemptions that is a problem. There are many other exemptions, particularly what Parliament itself grants every day under Article 174. I mean, foreign service official, he has served abroad, he's been able to acquire a car, he wants to come home with the family with that car, and I think that your ministry must prioritize it for purpose of first seeing whether we can restore that. What do you have to say to that? Thank you, Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, the facility is still there, but it's up to 2.0 cc. Now, the matter has been brought to Parliament, and Parliament has still not resolved it. So I believe, even though the ministry has pegged it at 2.0 cc, Parliament can also look at it and then maybe do a revision, consult the ministry and make a revision. I am sure when I was, I do remember, when I was...
You support it, and will you provide leadership in support of that? I want to know your position.
Knowing what I know, having worked in the diplomatic circles or having been one of them, I think I have a soft spot for the position that the staff are asking for.
Chairman, in concluding, again, it's IT related. I'm happy Minister for Communication is here. The Foreign Affairs Ministry, I'm not aware that you have any IT link apart from email to many of our embassies abroad. You have email. They will send minister email. They will send you to email what's currently happening in Washington or New York, how to relate to it. Whilst here, I'm sure it's something we need to work on. So, Chairman, whilst congratulating our colleague, I know that the pursuit of foreign policy have changed from days when there was no democracy in Ghana and from days when human security was threatened. I know that even the U.S., President Biden is providing new leadership in repositioning America as a multilateral leader with focus on global issues and the pursuit of multilateralism. And Ghana, our gravest threat now, Deputy Minister nominee, is the threat of terrorism. And I'm sure as you work to support the minister, together with the Minister for National Security and Interior, we should pay particular attention to the Sahelian region, particularly the fallout from the overthrow of Muammar Gaddafi has consequence on the northern sector. On that note, Chairman, I thank you for the opportunity.
Honorable Koku Ampretrim Sapon, I have one question in respect of passport application centers. I think you had earlier said that each region has one, but some regions are by far bigger than others in terms of numbers. So if you take Greater Accra region and you create one, and you take Bono East region and you create one, there is such a huge disparity in terms of numbers people applying. So is there any plan to increase the numbers in regions where the populations are much bigger so that the access, the time spent in applying would be reduced in those populated regions?
Mr. Chairman, I take on board the issue that you've raised, and I assure you that when I'm giving the nod, I'll have discussions with my minister and the officers involved to make sure that these concerns are taken on board. Thank you.
Very well. I'll talk to him about that after that. That's right. on that note, we thank you for attending upon the House to answer questions. You will hear from us later, but for now you're discharged.
Thank you very much.